My name is Ethan Marlowe. I'm 42 years old, and for the past 15 years I've worked as a freelance graphic designer in a quiet suburb just outside Orlando, Florida. My life has never been extravagant, but it's been steady and peaceful, built around routine and the quiet satisfaction of creating visual stories from my small home office overlooking a calm lake. I've always found a sense of order in the rhythm of my work, shaping ideas, solving problems through color and form, letting the hum of design carry me through the days. For 8 years, I shared that life with my wife, Camila Duarte. She was 38, full of spirit, with a presence that could shift the atmosphere of any room. We met at an art fair where I was showcasing my work. Her laugh caught my attention before her face did. We started dating, fell into something real, and married 2 years later. I believe we had built something solid, simple, but rooted in mutual respect. Camila came from a deeply connected Hispanic family. Her mother, Elena, was the firm center of it all, the kind of woman who carried tradition in her posture. Then there was Howard Duarte, Camila's 80-year-old stepfather, quiet and reserved, a retired mechanic who preferred the solitude of his workshop and the routine of driving his old Chevy truck. He suffered from the usual burdens of age, diabetes, high blood pressure, but his mind remained sharp, his observations incisive. To be honest, I was never truly embraced by the Duarte family. I wasn't pushed away, but I was never entirely welcomed either. I spoke some Spanish, attended every gathering, smiled at every inside joke. Yet I always carried the feeling of being a polite guest at someone else's table. Camila would assure me they simply took time to warm up to new people. I accepted it, telling myself that love sometimes meant patience. If you enjoy stories of cold-blooded revenge and unexpected twists, like this video and subscribe. There are unseen tales here every day. The Tuesday before Thanksgiving, I was finishing a logo design when Camila walked into my office with an unusual restlessness in her movement. "Ethan, we need to talk about Thanksgiving," she said, perching carefully on the edge of my desk. I looked up. "I thought we were going to your mom's house, like always." "We are," she replied, toying with one of my sketches without truly seeing it. "But there's been a change. Howard's been having issues. Mom thinks he needs someone to stay with him. Make sure he takes his meds." I paused, studying her expression. "Is he okay? Do we need to take him in?" "No, it's nothing like that," she answered. "He just forgets sometimes. She doesn't want to leave him alone." Then she looked at me with those dark eyes that once drew me in. "I was thinking maybe you could stay with him while we handle everything else. You two get along." Something about the request felt subtly off, like a picture slightly out of frame, but I couldn't name why. Still, I nodded. "If that's what Howard needs, I'll help." She smiled, but it didn't quite touch her eyes. "I knew you'd understand." I didn't realize it then, but that moment was the first quiet tear in the fabric of everything I thought I knew. Thanksgiving morning arrived dull and gray, the sky undecided between rain and fog. I drove my Honda Civic through familiar streets toward the Duarte home, expecting the usual commotion. Clattering pans, shouted greetings, the scent of turkey drifting outside. Instead, I found silence. Only Howard's old truck sat in the driveway. I carried the pumpkin pie inside, calling out, "Camila? Elena?" No answer. In the living room, Howard sat in his worn recliner, eyes steady, television muted. "Ethan," he said, voice heavier than usual, "I was wondering when you'd get here. Where is everyone?" I asked. He pointed to the dining table. "There's a note." I opened it, recognizing Camila's handwriting. "Ethan, we decided to take a last-minute trip. Howard needs someone to look after him and make sure he takes his medication. We'll be back in a few days." I stared. Reading it twice as a cold weight formed in my chest. A trip? Without you? Without me? I tried calling her. Voicemail. I tried again. Nothing. Texted. Silence. I dialed each family member. Elena, Miguel, Sophia. Every call fell into the same void. "Don't bother," Howard murmured. "They're not going to answer." I turned to him slowly. "What do you mean?" He leaned forward. "Sit down, Ethan. We need to talk." My pulse quickened as I obeyed. "How long have you known Camila?" he asked. 8 years. Why? And how many times has she mentioned her ex, Liam Foster? The name hit like a sudden blow. I'd heard it only once, brushed aside as unimportant. Once or twice, I said. Howard nodded grimly. She's been in contact with him for 6 months. Calls, texts, emails. I know because I've been watching. I blinked. Watching. I may be 80, but I'm not blind, he said. When someone starts asking about your will, digging through financials, insisting on private talks with your doctors, pay attention. He reached into his chair and pulled out a composition notebook filled with dense handwriting. For months, he continued, I recorded everything. Every question she asked. Every lie she told about my memory. She wants control, medical, financial, legal. I swallowed hard. Are you forgetting things? He stared straight into me. No, I take 3 pills a day. Same time. Every time. My mind is clear. But if someone wants to paint you as incapable, it's disturbingly easy. In that moment, I realized I wasn't just an outsider in their family. I was something far worse. Expendable. Howard, what does this have to do with Camila not being here today? He met my eyes, steady and unwavering. Because today was supposed to be the day she convinced you to help her move me into a nursing home, he said quietly. Today was supposed to be the day she became my legal guardian, gained access to my Social Security, my pension, and my savings. He closed the notebook gently, as if sealing the weight of his words inside it, and continued, instead, she's on a cruise to the Caribbean with Liam Foster. I saw the booking confirmation yesterday, when she left her laptop open. A cruise. 7 days. Royal Caribbean. Mariner of the Seas. Departing this morning from Port Canaveral. The room seemed to tilt a slow, sickening shift as I tried to process what I was hearing. My wife, the woman I had trusted with every vulnerable piece of myself, was sailing away with another man, having left me behind to watch over the stepfather she intended to exploit. They figured they'd leave the old man with the clueless husband, Howard said, voice trembling with anger barely restrained. And by the time they got back, the paperwork would be ready to sign. I sat frozen, as if someone had informed me that gravity had stopped existing, that the rules I lived by were no longer real. Ethan, he said gently, I'm sorry you're finding out like this, but you need to understand, this isn't just about her cheating. This is about her stealing from me, manipulating my care, planning to have me declared incompetent. I looked at this 80-year-old man who had shown me nothing but kindness for years, and something inside me shifted. It wasn't rage, not yet. It was colder, clearer, a methodical calculation, like when I dissect a complex design problem and begin aligning every broken piece. Howard, I asked quietly, what do you need me to do? The next days passed in a strange rhythm as I moved into the Dwar house to stay with him, each morning revealing truths I'd never imagined. Howard was not the confused, declining old man Camila had described. He was sharp, disciplined, and had been keeping meticulous records of everything for months. Every morning, he brewed coffee in the same weathered ceramic mug, took his pills exactly at 8 a.m., then handed me another fragment of the hidden narrative. Look at this, he said on Friday, sliding a folder across the kitchen table. Inside were medical forms, insurance documents, summaries of appointments. Every time Camila took me to Dr. Martinez, she insisted on speaking with him privately, telling him I was confused, that I forgot where I was or what day it was. I scanned the notes. Patient's stepdaughter reports cognitive decline, family concern about medication management. Yet right beside those comments were test results showing perfectly normal cognitive function. She was creating a medical paper trail, I said, seeing the strategy clearly, like someone crafting a brand identity through consistent messaging. Exactly, he nodded, opening another folder filled with bank statements and legal forms. 3 months ago, she brought me papers to sign, claiming it was for emergency contacts. But she was actually adding herself as joint holder on my checking account. Did you sign them? I asked. Hell no, he snapped. I didn't fall off the turnip truck yesterday. But she kept pressing me, saying it would make things easier if something happened, that Elena was too old to handle finances. I was beginning to grasp the scope of her plan. This wasn't infidelity. It was calculated financial elder abuse, and I had been the cover, the dutiful son-in-law who would appear naturally responsible. Howard, do you know how much money we're talking about? My pension from 35 years at Ford, Social Security, about $43,000 in savings, plus this house. Paid off. Not a fortune, but enough. He sighed. Camila's boutique has been failing. She's been begging Elena for loans. It explains everything. I had noticed her stress, but every time I offered help, she brushed me off, insisting she had it handled. I assumed it was pride. Saturday, I drove to her boutique, a small shop in a strip mall. The shelves were nearly bare. A handwritten sign read, "Closed for holiday week." I called the landlord. "I'm interested in the space where Camila's closet is." "Oh, that'll be available soon," he said. "Current tenant is 3 months behind on rent. We're starting eviction." I ended the call, stunned. That evening, I sat with Howard. We had truth, but we needed protection. "We need a lawyer," I said. "Not just for finances, for medical fraud. What she's done is criminal." "I know someone," Howard replied. "Bill Hendress. Elder law. Good man." Monday afternoon, we met Bill, a calm, silver-haired attorney who listened without flinching. "Elder financial abuse is more common than you'd think," he said. "The medical fraud makes it serious. What are our options?" I asked. "First, we protect Howard's assets. We'll file for a restraining order and alert Adult Protective Services, possibly even the FBI's Elder Justice Initiative." "The FBI?" Howard murmured. Bill nodded. "Financial crimes against seniors are federal offenses: wire fraud, mail fraud, healthcare fraud. This won't be brushed aside." And in that moment, I understood this wasn't the end of something. It was the beginning of war. If we can prove intent to defraud, we're looking at potential prison time. A cold satisfaction settled in my chest as I realized this was no longer just about revenge. It was about justice for Howard and accountability for Camila's actions. Bill's voice cut through my thoughts as he continued. "There's something else. If your wife has been using the mail system or electronic communications to further this scheme, that adds additional federal charges. And if she's been coordinating with others, this ex-boyfriend, for instance, that could be conspiracy." We spent the next 2 hours going through Howard's documents, carefully organizing them in chronological order, and preparing a comprehensive case file that laid out every deceit in stark detail. By the time we left Bill's office, we had a clear action plan. "How long do you think this will take?" Howard asked as we drove home. "These things move slowly," I replied, "but that works in our favor. Camila and her family think they're coming home to a confused old man and a clueless husband. Instead, they're going to walk into a federal investigation." That night, I finally allowed myself to confront what this meant for my marriage. 8 years of my life, gone. The woman I had loved and trusted had been systematically planning to defraud her own stepfather while using me as an unwitting shield. The betrayal was absolute, yet strangely, I didn't feel shattered. I felt focused, clear, like I'd been working on a project for years without understanding the real objective. And now, suddenly, everything aligned. Over that weekend, Howard and I had become unlikely allies, 2 men abandoned by those they trusted most. But we weren't going to fade quietly. We were going to ensure that when Camila returned from her romantic escape, she would face consequences she never imagined. The Mariner of the Seas sailed back into Port Canaveral on a Tuesday morning, exactly 7 days after it had departed. I knew because I'd been tracking its location online, watching every nautical mile. Howard and I had used that week well. By the time Camila's cruise docked, we had filed restraining orders, submitted detailed reports to Adult Protective Services, and delivered a case file to the FBI's Elder Justice Initiative. Bill had been relentless and precise. Howard's assets were secured, his medical records flagged for review, and federal investigators had opened an active case on Camila Duarte and Liam Foster. I was sitting in Howard's kitchen, drinking coffee and reviewing design work on my laptop, when I heard car doors slam in the driveway. It was Wednesday afternoon. They were back. "You ready for this?" Howard asked, remarkably calm. "As ready as I'll ever be," I said. closing my laptop. The front door opened, and I heard Camila's cheerful voice. "Howard? Ethan? We're back." She walked into the kitchen, sun-kissed and relaxed, her hair a shade lighter from the Caribbean sun. Behind her came Elena, Miguel, and Sophia, all looking like they'd had the time of their lives. "How was everything?" Camila asked, pressing a light kiss to my cheek, as if nothing had happened. "Did Howard behave himself?" "We had a great time," I said evenly. "Howard's been telling me lots of interesting stories." "Oh, you know how he is," Elena laughed. "Sometimes he gets confused." Howard slowly rose from his chair. "I'm not confused about anything. Elena, my mind is perfectly clear." His tone froze them. Camila's smile faltered. "Is everything okay?" she asked. "That depends," I said. "How was your cruise with Liam?" The color drained from her face. "What are you talking about?" "The Royal Caribbean. 7 days. The Mariner of the Seas. Ring any bells?" Miguel stepped in. "Ethan, there must be a misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding," Howard interrupted. "I saw the booking confirmation. I know where you went, and I know why you left us here." "Howard, you're being paranoid," Elena said, but her voice trembled. "Am I?" Howard picked up a manila folder from the counter. "Is this paranoia?" He opened it, reading aloud. "Medical fraud, financial elder abuse, conspiracy to commit wire fraud." Silence fell like a stone. Camila's eyes widened. "You can't be serious." "Deadly serious," I said. "Howard's been documenting everything. Your attempts to seize his finances, your lies to his doctors, your plan to declare him incompetent. It's all here, all reported. We were trying to help him." Sophia protested. "Help him by stealing from him?" Howard's voice turned to steel. "Help him by plotting to lock him away so you could control his money?" Camila collapsed into a chair, staring at the folder. "Ethan, please. You don't understand the pressure. The boutique, the debts. I understand perfectly," I said. "Your business is failing. You're 3 months behind on rent. So you chose to solve it by defrauding your stepfather and using me as cover. And Liam, he doesn't know anything." Camila insisted. "Really?" "Because according to the booking, he paid for both tickets. That makes him financially involved." Elena began to cry. "We never meant. You meant to manipulate an old man and a trusting husband." I cut in. Over the next hour, their scheme unraveled. Thanksgiving was meant to be the day. They convinced me to help move Howard into a nursing home. Papers were ready to grant Elena guardianship. The cruise had been a celebration of anticipated success, funded by Howard. Instead, they returned to frozen accounts, protective orders, and investigators waiting. "What happens now?" Miguel asked. "Now you wait," said Bill, who had arrived 30 minutes earlier. "You wait for the investigations. You wait for charges. And you hope prosecutors are merciful. And my marriage?" Camila whispered, tears spilling. I looked at her, the woman I thought I knew. "I filed for divorce yesterday. You'll receive the papers soon." One by one, they left in silence. Camila was the last. "Ethan, I'm sorry. I never meant for you to get hurt." "No," I said. "You meant for Howard to get hurt. My feelings were never part of your plan." She lowered her eyes and walked away. The house felt different after they were gone, emptier but cleaner. "Howard," and I sat in the living room. "How do you feel?" I asked. "Tired," he said, "but safe. For the first time in months, safe." The legal process took 8 months. Camila, Elena, and Miguel were charged with conspiracy and elder fraud. Liam was charged as an accessory. The boutique was seized. Howard's health improved. He walked again, gardened, even began seeing Martha, a widow nearby. As for me, I learned something vital. I was stronger than I believed. I learned that those closest to you can be the ones to watch most carefully, and that the best revenge isn't rage, it's truth. I still live by the lake. I still design. But now, I also volunteer with the Elder Justice Coalition, helping families recognize the signs of abuse. Howard and I remain close. Sunday dinners, quiet talks. He's 81 now, still sharp, still driving that old Chevy. People sometimes ask if I regret how it ended. I don't. I only regret not seeing it sooner. The truth always surfaces. And when it does, you choose. Be the one who brings it to light or the one who tried to bury it. I know who I am.